Dive into the mystery of the legendary lost city of Atlantis, a tale that has captivated imaginations for thousands of years. From ancient philosophers to modern explorers, Atlantis embodies humanity's greatest hopes, fears, and questions about civilization, power, and the unknown depths beneath the sea. Join us as we journey through history, myth, and science to uncover the secrets behind the myth, the quests undertaken, and the legacy that still shapes our world today. Don't miss a moment of this epic voyage. Subscribe now to stay with us on every step of this incredible adventure. And share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think really happened to Atlantis? We're eager to hear your theories and stories. The story of Atlantis begins in the mists of antiquity, where myth and legend intertwine with the whispers of ancient scholars and forgotten mariners. The notion of a city, a civilization of immense grandeur and mystery, submerged beneath the waves, has captivated human imagination for millennia. Before the tale truly unfolds, it is essential to understand the origins of the legend, for it is a product of both human curiosity and the timeless desire to comprehend the rise and fall of great civilizations. Our narrative initiates with the works of the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who lived in the 4th century BCE. His dialogues, specifically Timaeus and Critias, are the earliest known accounts of Atlantis. According to Plato, Atlantis was a mighty island nation said to exist some 9,000 years before his time. He described it as a land larger than Libya and Asia combined, situated beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we know today as the Strait of Gibraltar. Atlantis was more than just a geographical entity. It was a symbol of human potential and hubris. The Atlanteans were said to possess an advanced society with extraordinary architectural feats, sophisticated engineering, and a deep connection to both their land and the cosmos. Their capital boasted concentric rings of water and land, a marvel of urban design that intertwined natural elements and human innovation in a harmonious blend. The city's palace, temples, and canals dazzled with gold, silver, and the mysterious metal orichalcum, which Plato revered as second only to gold in value. According to the narrative, the Atlanteans were descended from the god Poseidon, an immortal woman named Cleito. Poseidon, enamored by the land, divided the island among his 10 sons, establishing a dynasty of kings who ruled with divine favor. Despite their initial virtues and prosperity, the Atlanteans gradually succumbed to decadence and greed, forsaking their noble origins. This moral decay angered the gods, who decided to punish Atlantis. The cataclysmic consequences were swift and merciless. During a single day and night, earthquakes and floods engulfed the island, sinking it beneath the sea and erasing all traces of its magnificence. This powerful allegory offered ancient Greeks a cautionary tale about the perils of pride and the transience of human achievements. Yet, as centuries rolled on, people began to wonder, could Atlantis have been a real place? If so, where was this lost island that had suddenly disappeared from the map? The quest for Atlantis has since become a central theme in Western culture, inspiring explorers, writers, and researchers alike, each seeking to unravel the enigma. Over time, countless theories have emerged, proposing diverse locations such as the islands of the Azores, the Caribbean, Antarctica, the Mediterranean, even as far afield as Indonesia. Beneath these conjectures lies a deeper mystery. Atlantis represents not merely a city or country, but the eternal human yearning to uncover lost knowledge and buried histories. As the centuries progressed, the myth evolved and adapted to the contexts of its interpreters. To some, Atlantis was a symbol of an Earth civilization, so advanced it predated recorded history, a beacon of wisdom lost to the cataclysms of the ancient world. To others, it became an allegory of technological prowess, possibly linked to extraterrestrial intervention or forgotten science. The very act of searching for Atlantis embodies humanity's insatiable curiosity, the urge to question, to seek, and to dream. To appreciate the full grandeur of Atlantis in our narration, we must delve deeper into the cultural and intellectual milieu of the classical period when Plato composed his dialogues. At that time, Greece was experiencing a flourishing of philosophy, science, and politics. The rise and fall of city-states like Athens reflected the volatile balance between ambition, power, and morality. Plato, a student of Socrates, frequently used his dialogues to explore ethical and metaphysical themes. The tale of Atlantis was more than an idle curiosum. It was woven tightly within his discourse on governance, societal order, and the ideal state. The Atlantean story appears as a counterpart to his depiction of an ideal society governed by justice and wisdom, embodied in the city of Athens. In this way, Atlantis served as a dramatic foil, a civilization that embodied the pitfalls of excess and tyranny, providing a narrative canvas for Plato's philosophical ideals and warnings. Yet despite this allegorical intent, the specificity of his geographical details and the vividness of his description allowed the myth to transcend mere metaphor. Ancient historians and geographers, from Herodotus to Strabo, pondered the possibility of Atlantis' factual existence. However, no conclusive evidence emerged, and the tale gradually sank into the realms of legend. Still, the echoes of Atlantis persisted through history. During the Renaissance, a period of rediscovery and revival of classical knowledge, Atlantis caught the imagination of scholars and explorers anew. The revival of Platonic philosophy made Atlantis a subject for renewed debate. In the 17th and 18th centuries, writers and scientists began to speculate on the origins of civilization itself, linking Atlantis with the lost knowledge of ancient peoples and the origins of various mythologies. The industrial age brought new tools of discovery, such as remote sensing, underwater exploration, and archaeological methodologies, increasing hope that the submerged city might one day be found. Yet, while cities of antiquity like Troy or Pompeii emerged from obscurity, Atlantis continued to elude the grasp of tangible proof. The lost city inspired countless fictional retellings and became a staple in literature, film, and popular culture, often depicted as a utopia or a mysterious source of ancient wisdom. It sparked a fascination with the idea that beneath the ocean's depths lies a forgotten world, holding secrets that could reshape our understanding of human history. From the enchanted prose of Jules Verne to the blockbuster adventures of the 20th and 21st centuries, the legend of Atlantis has remained a powerful symbol of discovery and the unknown. As our narration progresses, we will explore the numerous proposed archaeological sites, evidence, cultural impacts, and the enduring legacy of Atlantis in the modern imagination. We shall journey through the historical context, the speculative theories, and the cultural reverberations that continue to keep the lost city alive in hearts and minds today. Atlantis is no longer just an ancient story told by Plato. It is a prism through which humanity reflects its hopes, fears, and endless quest for knowledge. As the centuries unfolded, the legend of Atlantis refused to fade, stubbornly clinging to the edges of both learned debates and fanciful tales. In royal courts and candlelit chambers of European scholars, debates raged. Was Plato's wonder a pure allegory, or veiled reportage from a forgotten chapter of human history? Scholars pored over his works, scrutinizing every line for hidden meanings, cryptic clues, and buried cartographic hints. Into this fervor sailed explorers, men and women, driven by a thirst for knowledge and adventure. Some were spurred on by the dim hope of uncovering lost wisdom, others by dreams of unimaginable riches hidden beneath fathomless waves. Maps were drawn and redrawn, dotted with question marks across the vast Atlantic, the Mediterranean, and even remote stretches of Asia and Africa. Ship captains returned with stories of strange underwater formations, and fishermen whispered of ancient stones glimpsed just below the surface on days when the sea grew calm and the sun shone clear. It was in these times that the mythical and the possible truly entwined. Enterprising writers seized upon Atlantis as a setting for stories that danced between fact and fantasy. Through the Renaissance and Enlightenment, the image of Atlantis shifted. Once a warning of moral decay, it now promised hope that somewhere a golden age could be reclaimed, a civilization enlightened, just, ecologically balanced, and technologically advanced. The scientific revolution, with its telescopes and compasses, only deepened fascination. Early geologists and natural philosophers wondered if the Earth itself could remember. As mountains crumbled and lands rose and fell, was it possible that an entire island empire had vanished, leaving behind mere whispers in myth and the silt of the ocean floor? They debated the mechanisms of cataclysms, sudden quakes, surging tsunamis, the mysterious caprice of the gods or of nature itself. Tales grew of global floods from sacred texts and folk legends, linking the fate of Atlantis to universal memories coded deep within the human soul. The 19th century saw a surge in pseudo-history and speculative archaeology, as travelers returned from archaeological digs around the Mediterranean with chipped pottery and baffling inscriptions no one could fully explain. The discovery of Troy, thought to be mythical by many, sent waves of excitement across Europe. If Troy could emerge from mere legend into the cold light of history, so too, many believed, might Atlantis. Enthusiasts scoured Plato's descriptions. A city with concentric rings, opulent with precious metals, blessed by temperate climate and abundant resources, it ultimately destroyed in a single day and night of misfortune. Some pointed to the volcanic island of Santorini, once the bustling Minoan city of Akrotiri, devastated millennia ago by a cataclysmic eruption, whose echo is still visible in the shattered caldera. Others insisted on the submerged structures off the coast of Bimini, or the lost civilizations of North Africa, the Azores, and farther yet. Each theory brought its own passionate defenders and detractors. The rigor of science clashed with the allure of mystery, and Atlantis remained perched on the knife edge between the two. For all the conjecture, no artifact, no stone inscribed with the name of kings, has ever surfaced to conclusively prove that Atlantis was real. Yet the legend cannot be stilled. The story transcends the need for proof, evolving with each retelling. Writers from Francis Bacon to Jules Verne, to contemporary novelists, have shaped Atlantis in their image, sometimes as a technocratic utopia, sometimes as a parable of hubris, and at times as a cautionary tale about the fragility of civilization in the face of nature's might. Meanwhile, the Atlantean myth bled into esoteric traditions. Secret societies, mystical orders, and spiritual teachers began to claim that their roots stretched back to Atlantis. Some felt themselves to be the modern heirs of Atlantean wisdom, keepers of lost arts and sciences, charting a course for mankind to reclaim forgotten greatness and avoid a repetition of ancient disaster. In this tumult of stories, theories, dreams, and doubts, Atlantis became more than a city. It became a canvas for humanity's collective longing, for knowledge, for perfection, for communion with the mysteries of nature and the past. Still, the tides shifted and the centuries pressed on. The world grew ever more connected, and new discoveries regularly appended old certainties. But the allure of Atlantis persisted, glimmering just at the horizon of possibility, its siren call undiminished by the advances of science or the disappointments of expeditions. As long as there are unexplored depths, lost histories, and tales still untold, the legend of the lost city will endure, calling out to all who dare to dream and search. The enduring fascination with Atlantis is not merely a historical or mythical curiosity. It resonates as a profound metaphor for the human condition, our aspirations, our flaws, and our perpetual quest for knowledge. To explore this myth fully, we must journey not just through the past, but also through the evolving cultural landscapes that have kept the idea of Atlantis alive and thriving across millennia. The tale of Atlantis, as conveyed by Plato, is layered with meaning. Its power lies in the way it reflects universal themes that reverberate through human history. The rise of great civilizations, their inevitable decline, the consequences of power unchecked by virtue, and the possibility of redemption or catastrophe that always looms for societies. Atlantis is a mirror held to humanity's face, revealing both the heights of achievement and the depths of ruin. As Part 3 begins, we delve deeper into how Atlantis has been interpreted, adapted, and transformed from antiquity to the modern era, focusing on its cultural and intellectual repercussions. In the centuries following Plato, Atlantis became entwined with the broad fabric of myth and allegory. Early Christian thinkers sometimes saw in it a prefiguration of mankind's fall from grace, interpreting the destruction of Atlantis as symbolic of divine judgment against pride and sin. Medieval chroniclers, with their limited access to classical sources, often referred to Atlantis in contexts that fused geographic curiosity with spiritual allegory. The Renaissance, heralding a renewed interest in classical texts, reignited scholarship on Atlantis. Influential scholars like Marsilio Ficino and Giovanni Pico della Mirandola explored Platonic philosophy, integrating Atlantis into their discourses on human potential and divine wisdom. By then, Atlantis was no mere cautionary tale. It had evolved into a symbol of lost paradise and forgotten knowledge. The Renaissance also overlapped with the Age of Discovery. As European explorers mapped vast new territories, the speculation surrounding Atlantis took on a new urgency. Could this lost island be located somewhere in the newly explored oceans? The mysterious continents and islands emerging from the charts fed the imaginations of cartographers and explorers. Some early maps even included tentative depictions of Atlantis, a phantom island lurking just beyond the edges of the known world. The 17th and 18th centuries saw Atlantis woven into the science of the time. The Enlightenment encouraged systematic investigation and skepticism, but also fostered speculative histories. Philosophers like Francis Bacon famously speculated about a primitive philosophy, possibly preserved in Atlantis, influencing modern science. Atlantis began to appear in philosophical treatises, not just as myth, but as a possible source of ancient wisdom lost to time. During this period, the motif of Atlantis was appropriated by nationalist and utopian thinkers. Atlantis was sometimes claimed as an ancestral homeland, an original cradle of civilization for various European peoples, feeding into emerging ideas about identity, history, and destiny. Utopian works increasingly looked to Atlantis as a model, a civilization combining unparalleled knowledge, virtue, and power, lost due to moral failings, but serving as a beacon for future renewal. When the 19th century dawned, that romantic spirit exploded with archaeological discoveries in places such as Troy and Mycenae, offering the tantalizing possibility that myth could and did often reflect historical realities. Such discoveries emboldened Atlantis enthusiasts. More and more, Atlantis was seen not solely as legend, but as a real place waiting beneath the ocean for discovery. Scientists and adventurers began employing new technologies, scuba gear, sonar sweepers, underwater cameras, to probe the depths. Expeditions searched the Mediterranean, the Azores, the Caribbean, and off the coast of Spain and Morocco. Reports of strange underwater structures, strange geological formations, and anomalous artifacts were scrutinized. Yet the definitive proof, the hallmark ruins, inscriptions, or relics, remained elusive. Among the most compelling sites debated is the island of Santorini, known in antiquity as Thera. Its massive volcanic eruption around 1600 BCE devastated the Minoan civilization that thrived there. Some historians suggest that the story of Atlantis reflects memories of this catastrophe, filtered through centuries of oral tradition and hindsight. The concentric ring city described by Plato finds some loose echoes in the remnants uncovered at Akrotiri, buried beneath ash and revealing a sophisticated Bronze Age culture. Beyond tangible archaeology, Atlantis proved fertile ground for esoteric traditions and mystical thought. Theosophists, spiritualists, and New Age movements all embraced Atlantis as a spiritual homeland, a repository of secret knowledge and psychic powers. Figures such as Helena Blavatsky claimed Atlanteans were the bearers of ancient wisdom and technology, far surpassing modern achievements. Atlantis narratives grew increasingly elaborate in the 20th century, featuring theories of advanced technology, psychic phenomena, and even extraterrestrial intervention. In popular culture, Atlantis became a setting for novels, films, and comics, where it shifted between utopia and dystopia, myth and futuristic fantasy. The symbolism changed shape, but remained potent. At the same time, Atlantis retained its role as a cautionary tale, warning against the hubris of those who exploit natural resources recklessly or wield technology without wisdom. Its story resonates in discussions about environmental degradation, climate change, and the fragile balance of civilizations. The myth's endurance is a testament to its complexity, that rare tale which never dies but grows richer and more meaningful with every retelling. Atlantis is as much about the present and future as it is about the past. It asks enduring questions about human nature, progress, and the cycles of history. In the coming parts of this narration, we will journey into detailed archaeological theories around Atlantis, examining the evidence and arguments for various proposed locations, ranging from the Azores in the Atlantic to submerged lands in the Mediterranean, and even speculative sites near Antarctica and Indonesia. We will also explore the influence of Atlantis on global cultures, its depiction in folklore, literature, and film, and the scientific endeavors that continue to probe the mysteries beneath the waves. This exploration of Atlantis is both a voyage through history and an adventure of the mind, inviting us to ponder what lies beyond the known and to imagine the lost worlds that may still lie waiting beneath the sea. As we continue our voyage through the legend of Atlantis, it becomes crucial to examine the strong currents of archaeological inquiry and geographical speculation that have sought to anchor myth to reality. The search for Atlantis is, in many ways, a story of humanity's tenacity and imagination, of how ancient lore has propelled centuries of exploration and discovery, and how the boundaries between belief and knowledge often blur in that quest. One of the most enduring and debated theories places Atlantis somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, beyond the Strait of Gibraltar, echoing Plato's original hint of its location, beyond the Pillars of Hercules. Here, the vast expanse of the Atlantic, with its mysterious seamounts, submerged plateaus, and the mid-Atlantic ridge, offers tantalizing possibilities. The Azores Archipelago, a group of volcanic islands rising from the ocean floor, has captivated explorers' imaginations since the Age of Discovery. Their geographic placement aligns intriguingly with ancient descriptions of Atlantis' proximity, and underwater surveys have revealed structures hinting at a man-made origin, though their authenticity remains contested. The region near the Bahamas, particularly the so-called Bimini Road or Bimini Wall, has been posited as another potential locale for Atlantis. This underwater formation, composed of linear and rectangular stone blocks, sparked controversy upon its discovery in the 1960s. Some claimed it to be remnants of Atlantean architecture, while skeptics argue it is a natural geological phenomenon, a fascinating but coincidental arrangement of beach rock formations. Beyond the Atlantic, the Mediterranean Sea offers its own compelling candidates. The island of Santorini, with its catastrophic volcanic eruption around 1600 BCE, aligns remarkably with the idea of a sudden, devastating collapse akin to that described by Plato. The ancient Minoan civilization, thriving on Crete and Santorini, reflected the hallmarks of an advanced society, complex architecture, maritime prowess, and vibrant culture that was nearly obliterated in this disaster. The preserved ruins of Akrotiri reveal a city with sophisticated urban planning and artistry, hinting at a lost civilization whose fate may have inspired the Atlantis myth. Other Mediterranean sites include the submerged lands off the coast of Spain near the Donana National Park, where geological shifts may have altered coastlines, and the island of Cyprus, linked at times through legend and geology to Atlantean lore. Expanding further afield, speculative theories suggest locations as varied as the Caribbean, off the coast of Cuba, and even parts of Antarctica. The latter, fueled by fringe theories and controversial interpretations of ancient ice core data, proposed a sunken continent called Zealandia, or an Atlantean Ice Age homeland beneath the Antarctic ice, though mainstream science does not support these views. Equatorial and Indonesian archipelagos have also been cited due to their ancient geological upheavals and rich archaeological histories. Yet these remain on the periphery of established Atlantis hypotheses. Archaeological efforts have been both inspired and hampered by the immense challenges posed by underwater exploration. The ocean's vastness and depth conceal countless mysteries, and technology to explore submerged ruins has evolved dramatically. From rudimentary diving gear and sonar mapping to state-of-the-art, remotely operated vehicles and underwater drones capable of detailed surveys without disturbing fragile sites. Despite this technological progress, the lack of definitive, universally accepted Atlantean artifacts, inscribed tablets, royal seals, or unmistakably Atlantean construction, has kept the myth in the realm of legend rather than confirmed history. Yet the absence of proof has not diminished the cultural and symbolic power of Atlantis. The notion of a lost, sunken civilization continues to inspire philosophical reflection and artistic creativity. In literature, Atlantis has become a versatile metaphor for lost innocence, forgotten knowledge, and human hubris. From early speculative works to modern fantasy and science fiction, Atlantis serves as a backdrop to narratives exploring themes of renewal, apocalypse, and the tension between progress and destruction. The film industry has embraced Atlantis as well, with numerous portrayals ranging from the utopian visions of advanced ancient technology to dark tales of catastrophic failure. These portrayals shape popular perceptions, reinforcing the city's role not just as a historical curiosity, but as a cultural icon. Examining Atlantis through the lens of environmental science, the story acts as a powerful allegory, reminding humanity of nature's supremacy in civilization's fragility. Recent concerns about climate change, rising sea levels, and ecological collapse echo the ancient warnings embedded in Atlantis's downfall. The myth urges a reflection on stewardship of the earth and balance with natural forces. The spiritual and esoteric interpretations of Atlantis also deserve attention in this expansive narrative. From the late 19th century's theosophical movement to contemporary New Age beliefs, Atlantis is viewed by some as a source of ancient wisdom, technological, spiritual, and psychic, lost due to moral failings and natural disaster. These beliefs blend legend with metaphysical speculation and often claim Atlantis as the origin point for later major civilizations and spiritual traditions. In tracing the imprint of Atlantis on human culture, it is clear the myth transcends simple categorization. It is at once an archaeological mystery, a philosophical parable, a spiritual symbol, and a creative muse. Each generation reshapes the myth, projecting contemporary hopes and fears onto this lost city beneath the sea. As we prepare to move into the next segment of our narration, we will explore in greater detail the technological and scientific attempts to uncover Atlantis, delve into lesser-known but intriguing theories, and further examine the pervasive cultural legacy that has cemented Atlantis as a timeless legend. The quest to uncover the truth behind Atlantis has long inspired visionary explorers and cutting-edge scientists alike, combining human curiosity with technological innovation in a formidable pursuit. As we delve deeper into the heart of this enduring enigma, it is essential to focus on the myriad scientific endeavors and technological breakthroughs that have shaped modern attempts to locate and understand Atlantis. The story of Atlantis in the contemporary age is inseparable from advances in marine archaeology and oceanography. The 20th and 21st centuries have brought revolutionary tools to the fore, transforming how submerged landscapes and hidden ruins can be explored. Sonar scanning, satellite imagery, submersible vehicles, and underwater robotics allow researchers to probe depths previously unreachable, revealing landscapes, architectures, and geological formations frozen in time beneath waves. Satellite technology, in particular, has been instrumental in identifying anomalies in oceanic terrains, features that suggest ancient riverbeds, submerged mountains, or ruins. These glimpses into the deep have fueled new hypotheses about locations fitting Plato's descriptions. The Azores, for instance, benefit from satellite imaging that has revealed complex underwater plateaus and formations, energizing proponents who argue these are remnants of Atlantean civilization. Similarly, video footage and sonar scans from off the coast of Bimini continue to stir debate over the nature of striking geometric underwater structures. One of the most ambitious undertakings in Atlantology has involved seafloor mapping through multi-beam sonar arrays, allowing researchers to create detailed three-dimensional images of underwater terrain. These technologies permit detailed scrutiny of sites without physically disturbing fragile underwater ecosystems or risking human divers in dangerous depths. Efforts to map the seafloor near the Strait of Gibraltar have showcased features consistent with extensive coastal submersion, hinting at rapid geological changes that could align with cataclysmic Atlantis-related narratives. Despite this progress, the scientific community remains divided. While some discoveries are heralded as potential Atlantis evidence by enthusiasts, mainstream scholars require rigorous proof. Definitive artifacts, items bearing Atlantean iconography or inscriptions, remain elusive, sipping away at the more speculative claims. Parallel to underwater exploration, land-based archaeology has contributed crucial insights by unearthing buried civilizations that may inform Atlantis theories. The excavation of Bronze Age sites surrounding the Mediterranean, such as the Minoan centers on Crete and the ruins of Akrotiri on Santorini, has revealed societies boasting advanced urban planning, maritime trade networks, and intricate art and religious practices. These cultures flourished and then suffered devastating collapses, often linked to natural disasters such as earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, resonating with the dramatic demise of Atlantis depicted by Plato. The Minoan eruption on Thera, in particular, has gained prominence as a plausible historical analog or kernel of truth behind the myth. This enormous volcanic explosion ejected ash far into the atmosphere, caused tsunamis, and precipitated societal shifts that might have inspired oral histories transforming into the Atlantis narrative. The archaeological record shows remarkable preservation of Akrotiri's streets, frescoes, and architecture under volcanic ash, providing a snapshot of a civilization extinguished almost overnight. Moving beyond geology and archaeology, the Atlantis legend has inspired extensive interdisciplinary research touching on comparative mythology, linguistics, and anthropology. Scholars have sought correlations between Atlantis's characteristics and other flood myths or lost civilizations from around the world. The Great Deluge stories of Mesopotamia, the submerged lands of Doggerbank beneath the North Sea, and sunken ritual sites in Southeast Asia. This comparative lens suggests Atlantis may be a cultural nexus, a convergence of shared human memories of ancient disasters preserved across civilizations. Such investigations enlarge the narrative, indicating Atlantis may not strictly be a single place, but a cosmic myth reflecting humanity's collective memory of catastrophe and rebirth, a theme echoed in literature, religion, and psychology across epochs. The ripple effects of the Atlantis myth permeate modern popular culture and thought. It thrives in speculative fiction, cinema, and even scientific debates about lost technologies and ancient knowledge. Atlantis frequently appears in novels, ranging from the scholarly historical to science fiction and fantasy, echoing contemporary hopes that forgotten civilizations hold keys to future enlightenment or warning. Films and television series depict Atlantis variably, as a cradle of mystical powers, a repository of forbidden technology, or a cautionary example of failed stewardship. These artistic depictions often blend fact and fiction, enriching the mythos and shaping public imagination. Moreover, Atlantis' endurance impacts environmental and philosophical discourse. Contemporary climate concerns mirror Atlantis' destruction, reinforcing the allegory of a civilization overwhelmed by its excesses and the unpredictable forces of nature. Activists and thinkers invoke Atlantis when discussing sustainability, ecological balance, and the dangers of neglecting the environment, likening our modern world's challenges to the ancient city's downfall. Spiritual movements and esoteric traditions continue to embrace Atlantis mythos as well. From Theosophy's foundational texts claiming Atlantis as a spiritual homeland, to New Age teachings advocating recovery of Atlantean wisdom, these perspectives view the lost city as a source of metaphysical knowledge and transcendental evolution. Such beliefs uphold Atlantis as not merely physical ruins, but as a symbol of inner awakening in cosmic cycles. In tandem with these spiritual and cultural interpretations, fringe theories propose extraordinary ideas. Atlantis as a hub of extraterrestrial contact, advanced ancient science lost to a global resetting event, or even as a portal to parallel realms. While these notions lie far outside mainstream science, they testify to the rich tapestry of human creativity and the myth's profound symbolic reach. In summary, Part 5 reveals that the narrative of Atlantis spans far beyond the ancient texts. It involves a complex interplay of archaeology, geology, mythology, technology, and culture. The lost city is as much a symbol as it is a mystery, its essence captured in both the depths of the oceans and the depths of the human psyche. As we proceed to the next installment, we will explore in even greater depth the specific archaeological sites proposed as Atlantis, the scientific debates they have ignited, and the cutting-edge expeditions today driven by the hope of unearthing definitive proof of this elusive legend. The search for Atlantis has often focused on specific tantalizing locations around the globe, each offering potential clues, yet also sparking debate and conflicting interpretations. In this segment, we will delve into some of the most prominent archaeological sites and theories proposed as possible homes of the fabled city, while exploring the scientific and cultural controversies these theories have engendered. One of the most frequently cited candidates is the Azores Archipelago, located about 1,500 kilometers west of mainland Portugal. Renowned for their volcanic origins and rugged landscapes, these islands present a fascinating geological and archaeological environment. Satellite images and sonar scans have revealed unusual underwater formations around the Azores, including rectangular and circular shapes that some enthusiasts argue resemble man-made structures, possibly Atlantean in origin. Proponents highlight the island's alignment with Plato's geographic clues beyond the Pillars of Hercules in the Atlantic Ocean, and speculate that the Azores represent the last remnants of the sunken continent. However, geological studies suggest the Azores are volcanic in nature, rising from the mid-Atlantic ridge rather than belonging to a submerged landmass, complicating claims that Atlantis once flooded this area. Critics emphasize the natural processes that can produce seemingly architectural patterns underwater, cautioning against mistaking geological phenomena for archaeological artifacts without substantial evidence. Moving south, the Caribbean Sea has attracted interest due to submerged formations near the Bahamas and Cuba. The Bimini Road, an underwater formation discovered in the 1960s near North Bimini Island, consists of flat, rectangular blocks arranged in alignments that vaguely resemble a paved road or wall. Some researchers argue this could be the remains of an ancient Atlantean structure, while the scientific consensus leans toward it being beach rock naturally fractured by geological processes. Despite decades of study, the exact nature and origin of the Bimini Road remain ambiguous, fueling ongoing debate. Off the coast of Cuba lies a submerged, dome-shaped rock formation with geometric features that some call the Cuban underwater city. Advocates for the Atlantis hypothesis suggest it could be an ancient man-made structure, but scientific investigations have found no conclusive proof of human construction. As with Bimini, local geology and natural shaping mechanisms are often cited as more plausible explanations. Turning to the Mediterranean, the volcanic island of Santorini offers one of the most compelling archaeological cases connected to Atlantis lore. Around 1600 BCE, a massive volcanic eruption devastated the island and greatly affected the Minoan civilization on nearby Crete. Excavations at Akrotiri, the buried Minoan city on Santorini, reveal an advanced urban center with multi-story buildings, advanced drainage systems, and rich frescoes, abruptly preserved under a blanket of volcanic ash. Some scholars argue that the sudden destruction of this sophisticated society may have inspired the Atlantis myth or constitutes a real historical event distorted over time. The geographic setting and scale of the disaster fits several elements of Plato's tale, such as the rapid destruction of a powerful island civilization. Nonetheless, others point out that the geographic scale and timing differ from Plato's description of Atlantis, and the Mediterranean setting, rather than the Atlantic, may not correspond fully to his account. Further Mediterranean candidates include submerged platforms near the Iberian Peninsula's Donana National Park and archaeological sites in Cyprus and Malta, all showcasing cultures with seafaring prowess and advanced development for their era, but none conclusively linked to Atlantis. Beyond these, fringe theories suggest other more speculative sites. The idea of Zealandia, a mostly submerged continental fragment in the southwest Pacific Ocean, near New Zealand, has attracted some speculation as an ancient lost continent. Although no direct connection to Atlantis, exists in credible archaeological literature. Some propose parts of Antarctica as Atlantean land, referencing frozen landscapes and controversial ice core data. However, these hypotheses remain firmly outside mainstream science. Indonesian archipelagos, with their dynamic geology and rich prehistoric cultures, occasionally enter Atlantis debates, though evidence is purely circumstantial or anecdotal. Across all these locations, the challenge remains the same: distinguishing natural geological formations from human-made structures, interpreting ancient myths, and correlating them with the archaeological record. The sea conceals countless secrets, but the ocean's power and complexity also make definitive proof elusive. This uncertainty has not stopped Atlantis from profoundly influencing culture worldwide. Its myth has become a literary fertile ground, inspiring epic poems, novels, films, and video games. From Plato's classical writings to modern media, Atlantis captures the imagination as a symbol of lost wisdom and caution. Philosophically, Atlantis embodies profound lessons on human hubris, the rise and fall of societies, and the ethical responsibility of technology and power. Its narrative warns against environmental neglect and warns that even advanced civilizations are vulnerable to nature's forces. In scientific communities, Atlantis also stirs debate on interpreting ancient myths through empirical lenses and highlights challenges in underwater archaeology, balancing enthusiasm for discovery with rigorous skepticism. As technology advances, so does the hope of discovering Atlantis or similarly lost civilizations preserved beneath the waves. New techniques in remote sensing, underwater robotics, and sonar imaging continuously enrich our understanding of submerged landscapes and ancient coastlines reshaped by millennia of geological activity. The quest for Atlantis remains an ongoing journey, equal parts scientific investigation, philosophical inquiry, and imaginative myth-making, reflecting humanity's deepest desires to connect with its distant past and uncover mysteries hidden beneath the ocean's timeless depths. The legacy of Atlantis, as it exists today, is woven into the very fabric of global culture, scholarship, and the collective subconscious. As the legend has evolved across centuries, it has undergone a continual metamorphosis, shifting from classical allegory to symbol of utopia, and from archaeological riddle to a subject of spiritual yearning. The search for Atlantis has become emblematic of a broader human impulse, the pursuit of hidden truths, the unraveling of lost knowledge, and the hope that somewhere, profound wisdom and power may yet be rediscovered. After the Enlightenment, as the world's intellectual frontiers expanded, Atlantis found new allies in the realm of science fiction and speculative thought. Writers in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, including Jules Verne, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and later Isaac Asimov, began to invoke Atlantis as a vanished world of technological marvels as well as mystical secrets. These depictions ranged from undersea cities encased in crystal domes, to societies wielding energies unknown to modern science, to advanced democracies destroyed by their own misjudgments. Such works shaped modern pop culture's imagery of Atlantis, infusing the legend with the excitement of discovery and warning against technological arrogance. Atlantis's patterns are also etched deeply into the visual arts. Painters and illustrators, yielding to the lure of the city's grandeur, depicted towering temples, luminous canals, and subtle hints of the city's demise: surging waves, falling heavens, panicked multitudes. Each generation's vision of Atlantis reflects its own anxieties and hopes. The Victorians saw Atlanteans as noble foreigners of Western progress. Early 20th century visionaries portrayed a lost race blessed with powers and science that dwarfed anything yet known. Meanwhile, Atlantis seeped into the language and iconography of secret societies, esoteric orders, and new religious movements. The Theosophical Society, founded by Helena Petrovna Blavatsky in the late 19th century, claimed that the Atlanteans were a root race, precursors of the current age, possessors of psychic gifts and ancient wisdom lost to later eras. Its successor groups developed intricate mythologies about Atlantean priests and initiates who seeded the world with spiritual teachings after their continent vanished beneath the waves. The intersection of science, myth, and the occult gave rise to new traditions. The Lemurians, the children of the Law of One, the keepers of the Hall of Records, all tracing lineages, literal or spiritual, back to Atlantis. This fusion of myth and metaphysics resonated through the growing counterculture and New Age movements of the late 20th century, coloring everything from channeled teachings and healing rituals to the designs of sacred architecture. As the world hurtled through the late 20th century and into the age of digital interconnectivity, Atlantis retained and amplified its hold on the imagination. Film, animation, and video games each created their own mythic reinterpretations. Filmmakers staged Atlantis as an advanced, glittering city, sometimes benevolent, sometimes tyrannical or tragic. Animated adventures positioned young heroes as inheritors of Atlantean wisdom or victims of ancient curses. Video games allowed players themselves to explore sunken ruins, solve riddles left behind by Atlantean engineers, and unlock ancient powers. Perhaps most significant, however, is the role Atlantis plays in ongoing discussions about environmental ethics and planetary stewardship. Blueprints of Atlantis's dazzling cityscape are frequently juxtaposed with images of catastrophic floods, tsunamis, and vanishing cultures. Ecologists and ethicists invoke the myth as a symbol of both the promise and peril of unchecked progress, and the imperative for harmony between humanity's ambitions and the natural world. In this sense, Atlantis lives not only as an archaeological mystery or spiritual beacon, but as a warning inscribed in story. A caution that all civilizations, no matter how advanced, are subject to forces greater than themselves, and that wisdom, not power, is the true key to survival and legacy. With each decade, new voices join the global conversation, enriching the Atlantis legend with discoveries, dialogue, and debate. Modern technology, while not yielding definitive proof of a sunken city, has enabled fresh explorations of the ocean's most uncharted zones. spurring ever more ambitious expeditions in the name of discovery. In the 21st century, teams of marine archaeologists, geologists, and explorers employ satellite imaging, autonomous underwater vehicles, magnetometers, and deep ocean submersibles to sweep the seafloor for anomalies. Each unexplained shape, each geometric configuration glimpsed on a sonar screen, reignites debate, natural geological quirk or evidence of human engineering lost to time. International projects, such as the Seabed 2030 initiative, aim to map the entirety of Earth's oceans in unprecedented detail, and though they are motivated by science far broader than Atlantology, such data raises tantalizing possibilities. Unexpected features: a submerged ancient river delta near Gibraltar, polygonal blocks on the Azores Plateau, deep ruins off the coast of India, spur renewed speculation, though none have yet met the burden of proof required by most historians. Nonetheless, the persistent allure of Atlantis drives non-professionals too. Amateur explorers and enthusiasts, empowered by affordable sonar equipment and scuba technologies, have scoured the Mediterranean, the Caribbean, and far-flung archipelagos, sometimes reporting fantastic finds whose veracity is hotly contested and only rarely confirmed by scientific follow-up. Meanwhile, advances in paleoceanography and climate science have added nuanced layers to the story. Studies of sea level rise after the last ice age, ancient shifting coastlines, and massive prehistoric tsunamis indicate that entire landscapes now lie beneath the ocean, some of which were inhabited by highly organized societies long before recorded history. Skeletons, pottery shards, and stone tools surfacing from the Doggerland region north of Europe, or beneath the Black Sea, speak to civilizations drowned by natural cataclysms, echoing the Atlantis archetype. These ideas challenge the boundaries between myth and fact, inviting the question: was Atlantis a single city, or might it be an amalgamation, a memory of many places across the world destroyed by similar cosmic and earthly forces? Anthropologists and mythologists have shown that flood stories, submerged islands, sun-swallowed cities, vanished continents are nearly universal. From the biblical deluge and the Epic of Gilgamesh to Malaysia's Gunung Ledang and the indigenous Australian tales of drowned lands, every corner of civilization contains traditions speaking of lost worlds washed away. Some see in this universality a psychological truth, the enduring fear of loss, the trauma of disaster, and the hope of new beginnings. In this light, Atlantis becomes not merely a place, but a universal metaphor. It is an origin myth, a lament, an aspiration, and a warning, a shared inheritance of the human mind, repeated in an infinite variety of landscapes and languages. Atlantis, therefore, remains a living legend, perpetually reborn as each new generation seeks its own answers, its own meaning, in the depths of the past and the possibilities of the future. In the modern era, as the digital revolution reshapes society and brings humanity closer together, Atlantis finds new life as a global cultural phenomenon. The Internet, with its boundless forms and video platforms, has democratized the legend, giving rise to a flourishing ecosystem of Atlantis researchers. Amateur archaeologists, conspiracy theorists, and curious dreamers, each adding to the legend's volume and diversity. Virtual communities pore over high-resolution maps, debate interpretations of ancient texts, and share footage of underwater discoveries in real time. Documentaries and podcasts resurrect long-dead rumors, presenting them for an audience eager to explore history's grandest what if. Digital artists reconstruct Atlantis with advanced graphics, imagining cyclopean towers, labyrinthine canals, and machines of lost brilliance. As this collective vision grows, it reveals that the essence of Atlantis may reside as much in our imaginations as in any physical place. It is a city constructed as much by longing, creativity, and the deep ache for the past as by the stones and mortar that, if they existed, now lie hidden beneath the sea. Simultaneously, new disciplines approach the Atlantis legacy from fresh angles. Psychologists study why myths like Atlantis resonate so powerfully. The allure of forbidden knowledge, the draw of paradises lost, the catharsis of imagining what might have been. Sociologists examine how the myth influences everything from political rhetoric to environmental activism, how it emerges as a tool for both inspiration and caution in a world racked by change and uncertainty. In the arts and humanities, Atlantis continues to inspire. Choreographers, composers, and writers find in its narrative a rich source for expression, layering new meanings atop the ancient story. Sculptures and installations evoke the city's grandeur and its ruin. Music captures both mourning and exultation, its lost harmonies echoing through concert halls and digital soundscapes. Yet for all these interpretations, the original message, Plato's warning that great power, when divorced from wisdom, leads inevitably to downfall, resonates as clearly now as it did 2,000 years ago. The myth is a challenge not only to search for lost cities, but to reflect on the present. What Atlantean marvels do we risk squandering through excess and neglect? What lessons lie beneath the waves, waiting for a thoughtful age to recover them? Ultimately, the saga of Atlantis endures not because of a sunken city waiting to be found, but because it compels humanity to look both outward and inward, to fathom mysteries greater than ourselves, to heed the warnings of history, and to imagine futures shaped by wisdom as much as by wonder. Thus, the legend continues, unending, ever-expanding, a testament to the oceans of possibility in both the world and the human soul. Atlantis, whether as a lost city beneath the waves or as an eternal archetype, challenges humanity's imagination and conscience alike. It demands both exploration and introspection, a dual journey into the depths of the oceans and the depths of the human spirit. In all the centuries since Plato first penned his account, Atlantis has refused to fade into obscurity or settle into mere scholarly footnotes. Rather, it has become a symbol with many faces, each reflecting the hopes, fears, ambitions, and anxieties of successive generations. It is a mythological prism through which humanity has projected concerns about power and downfall, knowledge and ignorance, progress and preservation. Even as empirical science continues to probe the depths of the seas with ever more sophisticated instruments, the essential mystery of Atlantis persists with almost mystical tenacity. The ocean floors remain largely unmapped. Archaeological hammers and sonar pulses reveal tantalizing structures, yet definitive confirmation continues to evade us. This paradox between extraordinary technological capability and stubborn enigma keeps the search alive, balancing on the edge between discovery and dream. We must consider, however, that the greatest riches of Atlantis might not be its physical remains, but its symbolic and philosophical implications. Atlantis teaches that human civilization is fragile, that technological and cultural achievements can be imperiled by environmental disasters, social decay, or the hubris of unchecked power. The allegory bridges ancient philosophy with pressing contemporary concerns about climate change, sustainability, and global interconnectedness. The specter of Atlantis haunts these modern challenges, reminding us that nature's forces, tides, earthquakes, volcanic activity can reclaim even the grandest monuments. The lesson is echoed in the melting ice caps, rising oceans, and the shifting geopolitical landscapes of today. Atlantis thus serves as a stark metaphor for the consequences of neglecting the delicate balance between human ambition and ecological responsibility. Beyond caution, the legend inspires resilience and hope. The imagination that fuels the search for Atlantis is the same spark that drives humanity to innovate, explore, and transcend limitations. The city beneath the sea symbolizes lost knowledge, which, if recovered, could illuminate paths toward sustainability and harmony with nature. It is a beacon calling not just for archaeologists and explorers, but for visionaries seeking to reclaim forgotten wisdom and integrate it into a new era of enlightened stewardship. Historically, The narrative of Atlantis is deeply entwined with the human desire for utopia, the ideal society where justice, wisdom, and technological prowess combine without the corruption of power or excess. Philosophers and artists across centuries have used Atlantis to explore such ideals, imagining societies that balance scientific achievement with ethical governance and environmental respect. In the arts, from the illuminated manuscripts of the Renaissance to the vivid digital renders of today, Atlantis has been a canvas for dreams, sometimes dystopian, sometimes utopian, but always profoundly human. It serves as a mirror in which we can examine ourselves, our potential for greatness, the vulnerability to fall, and the eternal questioning of what legacy we wish to leave behind. The spiritual dimension of Atlantis continues to resonate as well. Numerous traditions interpret the city as a repository of ancient cosmic knowledge and psychic gifts, lost through calamity but accessible through inner awakening or esoteric practice. This dimension transcends geography and history, inviting reflection on Atlantis as a metaphor for spiritual evolution, cycles of consciousness, and the journey from ignorance to enlightenment. This blend of tangible history, symbol, myth, and spiritual allegory makes Atlantis uniquely compelling. It navigates indiscernible boundaries between the empirical and the mystical, the known and the unknown, grounding itself both in oceanic depths and the depths of human aspiration. In contemporary culture, Atlantis continues to inspire new generations through literature, film, gaming, and scholarship. It challenges us to question received wisdom and to explore unknown realms, physical and intellectual. While we may never uncover a definitive Atlantean artifact, the quest itself enriches our understanding of ancient civilizations, of myth's role in shaping identity, and of storytelling as a vessel for human values and curiosity. The saga of Atlantis also reminds us that truth often exists in complexity rather than absolutes. The legend is not solely about a lost city, but a multifaceted narrative woven from history, philosophy, science, myth, and spirituality. To seek Atlantis is to embrace uncertainty and marvel, to accept that some mysteries may remain open-ended, inviting perpetual exploration and reinterpretation. As we close this final chapter, consider the enduring resonance of Atlantis as a cultural and intellectual legacy. It beckons us toward the depths, not simply of the ocean, but of history and human consciousness, urging a balance between ambition and prudence, loss and renewal, knowledge and humility. Atlantis stands as a timeless testament to the human spirit's restlessness, a symbol of both the fallen and the possible, a memory of catastrophe and a beacon of hope. It embodies the paradox of human existence, our capacity to build magnificent civilizations and our vulnerability to their destruction. And thus, the story of Atlantis remains unfinished, not because of missing stones or submerged ruins, but because it lives within the imagination, the heart, and the collective soul of humanity. It is an ever-renewing mythos reflecting endless cycles of rise and fall, loss and discovery, darkness and light. May the tale of Atlantis inspire us to seek not only lost cities, but also lost wisdom, not only echoes of the past, but visions of a future where knowledge, respect, and harmony prevail. For in the depths of both ocean and story lies the enduring promise of rediscovery, a promise that calls us all to journey onward toward the horizon of possibility.